Hello. So on this episode of 26 Minutes, we have the lovely Laura Evison. So this one is 26 Minutes with Laura Evison, who we're going to speak to about mental health and a little bit about her journey. I don't really want to say too much about Laura. I've known her for about a year and a half, coming on 2 years, I think it is now. She's part of my support group, and she also helps out a lot with Respect Mental Health. So it is only right that we got Laura on and had a chat about her journey. So introduce Laura, if you'd like to introduce yourself to everyone and just tell us a little bit about your journey and experiences with mental health, if you could, please.
Hi Ben, hi everyone. So I'm Laura Evison. I am now a business owner of two businesses. One Lever Solutions Limited, which is a virtual PA and bookkeeping business, and the other is 50/50 director of an accountancy business as well, both high pressure jobs. I have started this about 20 months ago. It was June 2019. I went into business, I went into self-employment because basically I wanted to do better. I wanted to do better for people. I wanted to be a really good employer. And I also had some bad experience within employment, particularly with my mental health, with regards to my mental health. And I just thought I didn't want to continue like that forever. I didn't want to be answerable to other people who just didn't get it, who just didn't understand. So I did kind of feel pushed into it, really, into self-employment, because I just thought, well, this has got to be the way now, because I didn't fully believe that I would ever get the support in employment.
Yeah, so your jobs before, when you was in employment, so was it the same industry before to what you've actually set up now?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a variety of jobs. I've always been a manager. I've been a manager in retail, in hospitality, in customer service. But I must say it was when I went into the accountancy profession. It's professional services, it's financial services. And I did quite quickly get a feel of how much is expected for you in that industry. I mean, I'd never worked for a company where it was just expected that you worked more hours than what you were contracted to and what you were paid to do.
Yeah.
And you were kind of looked down upon if you were one of them people who got out your seat at like even 5:05.
Yep. Yeah. I've been in those jobs, yeah.
Yeah, people would be like, where's she going? And I'd be like, well, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going home to my husband and my kids.
Of course.
I remember going on, I'd go on quite a lot of trips to London from Liverpool. I mean, it was only 4 times a year. It was once a quarter down to the main head office in London. And I think I remember the first time I went, I came back and I said to my line manager, what do we do about the extra hours? Because obviously I've been on a train since 6:30 from Liverpool to London, not got home to my family till 9:30 at night. And she was like, well, ask, but no one's ever asked that before. And I was like, what? Like, it really is just expected. I mean,
yeah.
I am such a giver. I will always give more. And I was always so, I was always so committed to my jobs and everything. But anything like that, where it was, quite a lot of time over, that I was missing out on with my family.
Yeah, of course.
And
you've
honestly,
got to find that right balance, haven't you?
Yeah, and I was really made to feel like, oh God, you are like the worst member of staff we've ever had, because no one's ever asked
that. Yeah.
So yeah, it was accountancy really that it really did open my eyes of that there was just such high pressure.
Yeah, of course. Now, do you think that bosses or company owners, MDs, do you think that they realise the pressure that they're putting on their staff is having damaging effects on mental health? Or do you think that bosses are fully aware of it, but they kind of think of the payday instead and what you're actually bringing into the company, regardless of how the employees are actually feeling?
I think definitely, Ben. I think there's a bit of both to what you've said there. With regards to, I think some of them are not completely aware and they're not educated. And this is something why I'm going to be doing more talks around my journey because I really want to educate people. They just haven't got any idea. They don't understand what it's like to live with mental illness every day. I think especially, you know, and this is no disrespect, but it is an industry where there's a lot of older partners in accountancy. So they've been doing the job for 40 odd years. They're just not in touch with, you know, they've always been an employer. They don't know what it's like to be an employee. You know, they've made the money and they want you to continue making their money. You're just like a little minion to them who pays off their big house and the fancy cars.
I completely understand that. So, you know, I really want to start kind of pushing into businesses. You know, it's all good talking, but I really want to have a look at more actions and really taking respect mental health into businesses and getting the MDs to open up. Now, it's kind of tough looking at what industries to really start with first. And I know that kind of recruitment are very high driven. There's a lot of pressure on recruitment, but I'm also hearing more and more about the accountancy industry. And I think over this past year, there's extra added pressure because of the whole furlough schemes and everything like that. There's just a lot more mounted pressure onto their staff. Now, even though you are kind of riding solo, do you still, I take it you're still in contact with many people within the industry. Are you hearing things about the added pressure at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to this this firm that I started out in accounting a few years ago, I remember they asked me, it was a team of about 30 odd staff in the one office. And I remember them asking me to be a first aider. And I was like, okay, yeah, you know, didn't have a problem. Finding out nobody actually wanted to be a first aider in the office because 6 months earlier, 2 men had actually dropped dead at the desk, had a heart attack, 50 odd year old, young, you know, fairly young 50 odd year old men. And that's why no one wanted to be a first aider. I was like, oh yeah, I will be. I mean, you know, you can't just say it was you know, completely down to his work, but I do think, you know, it will have had an impact. I'm sure pressure will have.
And do you think
also you have to remember, sorry. Yeah, also you have to remember in accountancy that a lot of people are still sitting exams whilst they're working in practice. And I know, speaking to a lot of the young ones sitting the exams, they go to work and they go home and revise all night long and all weekend long, and you know, they don't stop. And I think that pressure is huge, that you're in an office all week and then going home to do them exams, to study for them exams.
Of course, I don't know about anyone else, but I find it really hard to process any sort of information when, you know, I'm overworked and I'm tired. You know, I could sit there and read, but, you know, and study, but the information just doesn't go in as it would usually. So do you think that they really need to get the balance where these studies are able to be done within the working week? Is there enough time for that to happen, or could there be, or could they make the time? It's just that they don't want to because they would rather them doing the work instead of studying to be better at what they're doing.
Definitely, I think the accountancy industry uses their I mean, it's not apprentices, what is it called? What's the word I'm looking for? Uses their trainees, their trainee accountants, to do the work for them that they shouldn't be doing. You know, a lot of them are given work that they're not even qualified yet to do. And you know, it will be checked over, but I just think if you're not at that stage, yes, you shouldn't be trying to push somebody to do a job they're not comfortable in doing or qualified to do.
Of course. I've had those sorts of experiences before where I've been kind of chucked in at the deep end, and you know, you're gonna make mistakes, and when you do make those mistakes, a lot of the time that it's not kind of a learning curve, it's more of a telling off, and this is how you do it, that as well kind of makes you feel worthless as an employee, because you know you're doing something that is above your level. You make that mistake, and then you're made to feel, you know, pretty bad about it. And it's not something that you kind of let go. It's something that you'll take home with you and really think over, you know, and it makes you feel really low. So I completely understand about businesses, you know, they have to make money, they have to do this, but they also have a duty of care to their employees. No one's going to be able to work to their best of ability when they feel that pressure. Now that pressure's obviously got you thinking that, you know, I would rather go and work alone, you know, set myself up. I can be my own boss. I can study if I need to. I can make time to do this. I can do things correctly in my own time, work my own hours. But there's also the working alone is that, you know, you can become pretty isolated. Do you ever get that feeling that working alone, that you are alone? And kind of, does that have effects on your mental health working alone as well?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It was a huge eye opener for me. As much as I wanted to get out of employment, because I'd had a really bad experience where I was made redundant, and I was told that a group of people would be getting made redundant. That never happened. My work was always, you know, everyone was always very pleased with my work rate, with my attitude. I was the only person who could cover numerous roles. And I am ashamed to admit that I used to lie about why I was needing to be off work. And I am the world's worst liar. It shows on my face completely. My mum always says to me, "No, Laura, don't go there."
Mums always know, though, don't they? Mums always know.
Definitely. I'll say, like, I got in at 2 o'clock in the morning. She's like, "No, it was about 3, wasn't it? 4." Yeah, so I was making up these lies because basically I just didn't feel like I could say, "Do you know what? I just can't get out of bed today. I can't. I physically can't."
Yeah.
I just thought they was just laughed and, you know, put me down. So anyway, long story short, I confided in them because I just didn't want to lie. And I thought it's better to be open and honest.
Yeah.
And I did.
That takes a lot to do. That takes an awful lot. People say, you know, we see it a lot. You know, just talk to someone. Just talk to someone. It's not as simple as that. Just talking to someone. You know, it really isn't. But if you can find that strength to actually finally open up and do it, it's the best thing that you can do. Talking really is the best thing that you can do, but it's the hardest thing to do. So
it is.
You know, when you finally open up and you're kind of shut down and things, how's that then made your journey from there?
Laid myself completely bare, and I really did. I think that's kind of where it went wrong. I expected them to understand and I expected them to be supportive. And then this coming to me and just saying I was getting made redundant, it was just like a shock. It was just like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I left the role, found another role straight away and went into that. But I did find out no one else was made redundant. In fact, the practice went on and bought another practice. So they can't have been struggling financially and had to make me redundant.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I think kicked me into employment, into self-employment.
Yeah.
I think I thought I'm never going to give anyone the opportunity to treat me like that again. And as I say, I want to grow 2 successful businesses and I want to be an employer that I never had.
Yeah.
I want to be that great employer. I want to go out and start telling the world and talking to the world and saying, because I don't regret a thing. You know, some people might say, well, wouldn't you say, oh, just don't say nothing if that's how you're going to be treated? Definitely not. Be yourself. Be your complete, authentic self.
Yeah.
And, you know, if your employer can't appreciate that, then you shouldn't be working for them anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, completely agree. So you obviously, as you said, you want to grow the business, you want to eventually take on staff, you know, and it's good that you kind of have that mindset that, you know, you want to aspire to be everything that your past bosses have not been. And that, you know, I think that support and knowing, you know, that your boss is willing to give you support, is willing to give you, you know, the time of day and let you express how you feel. You know, I think that's how all bosses should feel. That should be, should I say. But we know each other's journeys. You know, we've spoke quite a bit over time. I think it was around a suicide prevention and awareness month that we actually connected. I spoke about one of my experiences and with me getting to a really dark place and ending up in hospital after taking an overdose. That's when I was 26 years old, hence the name 26 Minutes With. So we kind of run it like that. And I remember you coming to me and saying that, you know, that post was very inspirational, and it gave you the chance to then build up the courage to then speak out and share your story with your connections, with your network. If you don't mind, if you was all right with it, are you all right to talk about kind of your experiences and when you got to the really dark places and what happened?
Yeah, of course. I've actually attempted suicide 3 times now in the last couple of years. The first time was a week after I had been made redundant from my job. I felt completely worthless. I felt completely betrayed. I felt really upset. I just thought, you know, there's nothing for me now. It's really hard to explain. And I would say, to be honest, years ago, that I could have been one of them people who would think, wow, you've got everything. Why would you do that? You know, how can it ever be that bad? And I just know it can be that bad. And in that moment, you are actually the most selfish person that you can ever be in your life. And I am, believe me, one of the least selfless people, like I know you are, Ben. But in that moment, you just want your pain to hurt. You just want it to stop. You don't care how it happens, you know, what the effects are on that, what you're leaving behind and what you're doing to other people. You just don't think about that in the moment.
Of course, that sort of thing isn't in your head when you're going through that, because what you're doing is kind of processing the pain that you're going through, and you know, you're so tired but you can't sleep. You know, you're in an absolute emotional state. You know, I kind of remember times when you know, where I got so overtired that, you know, you could start to kind of hallucinate and things like that. And it's the kind of things that you want to stop, that you want to end, that you do not want to continue with, that gets you into those sort of spaces. I remember, because I moved away from my area, from down south. I moved up north because I was really struggling. I thought that was the best thing, and everyone's like, don't run away from your problems, and I was like, well, I can't stay here because the problems will always be here. And to be honest, running away was probably the worst thing that I'd done. It was great for the first 6 months, but it's very lonely going home to a 1-bedroom flat, not in the nicest area. And my brain was kind of overthinking constantly. And, you know, I ended up in hospital. Now, I was quite fortunate, as in the aspect that I had a really good boss at the time. Now, they kind of knew my situation. They offered me plenty of support. And I was alone. And I remember sending her a text saying, not going to be in work for a few days. I'm really sorry, but I did try to take my life. Within 20 minutes, she was up at that hospital demanding that she come in to see me. And she sat with me for a very long time. And she spoke about me and she offered me, you know, any kind of support that I needed. I went back into work about a week later. I felt that I was ready. I wanted to go back. And I think I lasted a day. It was a Friday I went in, because what I wanted to do was start on the back end of the week and just do like 1 or 2 days, have the weekend off, and then go ready to hit on Monday. But I kind of went back and I was like, no, I can't do it. I literally went home from work on the Friday, packed my bags. I was on the train and back in the southeast by 11 o'clock that night. But I'll always remember the lady, Sarah Corrie, amazing lady. And she was probably my best support boss that I had, as in terms of that she would literally walk a mile in barefoot over glass just to make sure that any of her staff are okay. At a company, I think they've renamed now and rebranded, AMCS Internet it was. But she was a fantastic boss, and I always thought, if I ever had anyone working for me, that's who I am going to base myself on. That's exactly who I base myself on. So say you had 3 attempts, you know, and you know, I'm very, very happy that you know, that you was unsuccessful. But at this stage in time, right now, how is your mental health at the moment?
Oh, it's so up and down, Ben.
Yeah.
It's literally like I think so much about my poor husband. I think he just doesn't know what he's getting up to every day.
Mm,
Um, I would say that if any good could have come out of the suicide attempts was for me family to understand a bit more.
mm,
So after that has happened, you are well, I've done a lot of damage to my body as well,
mm.
to organs and stuff. So I've got to look after myself a little bit more now.
Yep. Yeah.
And they sit you down and speak with the mental health team. And it's not just you, they speak to your family. And, you know, I've broke my husband's and my mum and dad's heart. I really have.
Mm,
When I've been in the middle of doing it and you know, out of the game, should we say, and not knowing what I was saying, I've literally like begged the doctors in the hospital to get me more tablets, and I've paid them £20 and all this, like trying to
mm.
do a deal with the doctors just to
Yeah.
kill me,
Yeah.
honestly. And you know, it must be absolutely heartbreaking to see someone you love in that state.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can
So
imagine. You know, and I've spoke to Chris briefly, and he's a fantastic chap, and you know, all he wants is the best for you. And he just told me about how giving, how caring you are, and he's an amazing bloke. But you know, we don't kind of think, as we said, we don't really think in the time about what this could be doing to them as well at the same time. But when you kind of get over and through things a little bit, you really see who's there in your connection, who really cares, who really loves you. And that must bring a kind of good feeling back to you. It's not going to take away your bad mental health, but knowing that you do have those sort of people that love you around. Now, I know that we speak, we're in a bit of a WhatsApp group with the Respect Mental Health, because I have people that help me out, that make decisions. And you can kind of see that we have that set group there of people that really, really care, that people that anytime they really do want to help out. You know, and do you use local support groups or anything like that?
yeah, I mean, there is there is something I totally, it shouldn't have to be the case, and it upsets me and angers me that it is, because not a lot of people can access it, but I pay privately
Mm.
for
Yep.
counselling.
Yep.
It's something I need, and I need it on a weekly basis at some point in my life.
Yep.
You know, as we're saying, we're talking about lockdown and everything now. Lockdown, actually, I loved every minute of it, because for me, it made me feel so safe.
Yep.
It made me feel like nothing was going on in the world, and I was okay, and I was in my own house and nothing could happen to me.
Mm.
It completely took away a lot of my anxiety.
Yep.
For me, it was harder reintegrating back,
Yep.
and going back to the manicness of the world.
Mm.
So, you know, I know it's so detrimental to everybody, lockdown, and
Mm.
myself as much as anyone else, you know, struggling with running businesses and during this time and everything. So I think we've got to be dead conscious about talking, and reaching out to people.
Mm.
But at the same time, it needs to be something that people say and actually mean.
Yep.
You know, I'm so, it really does frustrate me. I know some people really do mean it, and they message me and say, you know, just anytime, like yourself or anyone, how are you today? Little things like that, that means a lot. But
Yep.
when people just post memes on social media and hashtag be kind and this and that, and then you see them acting in a not kind way, in a really
Yeah.
unkind way,
Yep.
or, and it's
It's
so frustrating. That affects my mental health as much as anything. When I
yeah.
see that, it makes
I
me angry.
I see it quite a lot, and also on these kind of mental health awareness days as well. The things that bug me as well is that I love those days. A lot of people are kind of in two minds, because, you know, I think that spreading awareness is fantastic. But if you are going to spread the awareness, if you are going to hashtag be kind, then you really need to follow that up and be kind. You know, but you'll also get the other people that are saying, oh, you're just jumping on the bandwagon and this and that. But I still think that these days are really important and we should really get more people talking about it. But if you are going to be talking about it, you really have to be true. You can't be putting something on a social media site just to get likes. You know, I think when I can see someone at 364 days of the year being, you know, not the nicest people at all. And then they're saying things like that. You just kind of think, you know, it plays with your own mental health as well, because you think, oh, I'm doing all this work for someone to kind of come along and be this way. That's what's creating a bit of a stigma as well, is that people don't want to talk out, because people are now coming up and saying, oh, it's just a bandwagon thing, which then puts people in a position where they feel that they can't talk. That's when you start losing the genuine people, the people that really have anxiety, the people that really are suffering from mental health, and now being pushed to the back, and they're being silenced by people that are kind of speaking out and saying, you shouldn't be posting about this, you shouldn't. You know, but as I said, if you're going to do it, you really do have to push through and stay true to those words that you're saying. It's not a 1 day a year thing. It is a 365 day a year thing. You know, and right now we're going into a second lockdown, and I quite agree with you. My partner as well, very much is, she has bipolar, very bad anxiety. And she's not a going out person. She doesn't like to go out much. She's a very much home person, and that's how she loves it. She stays safe. That's where she feels comfortable. She absolutely loved lockdown. You know, all the family together, her close family, we was all in the house. We didn't have to do anything. So this time around, I'm a bit in two minds about it, because I've got a garden, quite fortunate, and it was very, very hot. So I had that time out there. So I'm kind of worrying a little bit about how it's going to be, because I now see that after last night's announcement that they're now saying that it could go a little bit further. You know, I'm very active. I like to get out, you know, so I'll be taking advantage of my exercise hours. You know, I'll be making sure that I do all of the essential shopping as well, because I do need to go out and be around people. So I think I've kind of got a plan in my head, is that I'm going to be doing as many of these podcasts, as many talks and Zoom calls, so then I can get that feel of being around people. Now, you prefer to be at home, be with the family, which is fantastic, but you still need that kind of interaction with the outside world, but without going outside. So what's your plan over the next 4 weeks?
I think even with recently suffering with my mental health, it's taught me again to just reevaluate where I'm at. I mean, we say day by day. With mental health, when it's really bad, it's not even day by day. I say to people, like, at this hour, I'm okay. It's 2 o'clock, but by 5 o'clock, it could be an absolute wreck. You know, we just don't know. So I think staying on top of it, and as I said, very fortunately, I'm in a position where I can pay for private counselling. Because I've been told by the hospital only recently it's a 9-month waiting list. 9 months. I mean, people just, you know, they haven't got 9 months to wait to speak to someone, to wait to be fixed.
You
so
really have.
I'm gonna stay in touch with my personal therapist, my personal counsellor. As I say, on a weekly basis. I treat it now like I'm getting my nails done or my hair done. It's a necessity part of my monthly budget. Is to pay for my counselling. So yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to stay off social media as much as I can. Because as much as I think it can be a good place, I think especially because we've had an experience of one lockdown, we've now got a lot of people who have got are more informed, I've got more opinions, I've got stronger opinions, and you know, it can just be a place that it's very noisy, and I hate noise. I need calm and peace. So I'm going to stay off social media as much as I can. And I'm just going to be kind to myself instead of asking people to be kind to me. I'm going to be kind to myself. I'm going to, you know, read. I'm going to get stuck in with my businesses and helping as many people as I can who need my help. And talking and educating people. I want people to hear a real life story of my whole journey through life. And relate to it in some way, or understand and be compassionate at least.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Well, it sounds great. Well, look, we are a little bit over the 26 minutes, which isn't a problem. So, you know, I did say it can either go a few minutes over or under. But Laura, it's been absolutely fantastic speaking to you. And, you know, I'm really happy that you came on and you share our experience, your experience with us. And, you know, down the line a little bit, you know, we'll look to get you back on and have another chat.
Thanks, Ben. I'll speak
Excellent.
to you
No
soon. Take
problem.
care.
Speak to you very soon. Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.